Want to delay any longer, folks. This one is going to be an incredible matchup. It will be the hometown team of China facing off against Norway. Let's see how all this shakes up and send it over to our casters.
All right, thank you, Golden Boy. Doe and Monte Cristo here for day 2 of the Overwatch World Cup. Day 1 was awesome. Day 2, man, we are starting things off with a bang, dude. China versus Norway, the Group A highlight matchup.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially with how clean we saw China playing yesterday. In terms of their ult economy, ult management looked very on point, really chaining them together nicely, not overcommitting to certain fights. They looked very, very polished, and because they are going to be the higher-seeded team coming in, they're going to get their first map choice, and it is going to be Hollywood, which is, it's going to be... Okay, it's Hollywood, but the picture of Kings Row. I know that's
they're
confusing.
Testing us early
they're
on
testing
today.
us. It is actually Hollywood, guys. It is Hollywood will be the map. And that's not really a surprise because we saw China reach a 3-minute, 50-second time bank by pushing their first 3 points on Hollywood yesterday. So they looked very confident on that map.
Yeah, and as good as Norway
there
looked.
It is.
There we go, there's Hollywood. As good as Norway looked, they are the team, too, that did drop that game to Hong Kong at the end. I believe that was on Route 66. So while they were definitely, I would say, the second best team we saw yesterday out of Group A, they're going to need to bring it up to the next level to be able to take China.
Yeah, they are, but I think they have the tools to do it. We at least saw, I think, more diversity of compositions from Norway in yesterday's matches, even if they didn't look as polished in one style. China playing the dive, what you would expect in this meta, but I think we need to see more from them because as this tournament goes on, teams are going to get a read on teams that have less flexible compositions.
That's right. We're about to get into it, guys. The players are loading onto the map. I'm excited, man. This is a matchup I was really looking forward to after yesterday, more than anything. China looking so good. And you know what? I'm going to bring up 5 key again. This guy is Lucio that I will want to watch for the rest of my life, or his life. Whichever shorter, I guess.
But I agree with you, man. 5 King's judgment on when to use sound barriers was nearly flawless yesterday. Holding, really keeping track of enemy ultimates, making sure that he was going to get the maximum value for his team. So there's a lot of great shot calling that we saw going on from China, whereas, you know, Norway, yes, they were more flexible in compositions, but like you said, Route 66 obviously wasn't their map pick, but they did look a little dodgy when they tried to switch over to Onigod on Zarya and have Decod on the Reinhardt.
I'm getting the impression that security in Hollywood is not very tight in the future.
Is that it?
Yeah, and I'm getting the impression, too, that that guy is playing, like, the oldest version of Hearthstone there is. You know, for, like, however far in the future Overwatch is, for that guy to still be using the basic cards, I mean, maybe he's just getting into the game, but come on, man. I'm sure there's been a couple more expansions coming out since then.
That's probably true. Maybe he's playing Wild, though.
Yeah. Who knows? Looks like we got Norway on attack here. Could be Wild, you're right. Limited formats.
Well, this is, it will be Norway's decision to attack first because China actually did select the map.
Ooh,
and we're going to see Pharah and Mercy.
All right.
Undead will be on the Soldier 76, though. Eileen playing the Sombra here on defense. So we'll see if Undead can deal with this problem they're going to have in terms of having this aerial duo firing into the point. So very slow approach right now.
Yeah, we've got Undead on the Soldier, so they certainly do have a way to handle this Pharah. But if Norway is able to approach it cautiously, maybe get a pick or two, they can move on to the point. Trying now. Onigod just firing into the cafe. If he can at least force Undead off the high ground, they can get some purchase on it maybe. On the point right now is China, and it's getting pretty hard to dislodge him. Aiko getting very low before he jumps out.
It's just a lot of poke right now from both teams. Eileen already with that EMP, so poke successful for China, and also poke successful for Norway as we do see the res already up. So Decod's going to fall, though.
Oh, he got the hack off onto Mercy. IPN going down anyway. Didn't have a chance to even get to that res. And Eileen just cleaning it up. Looks like China's going to hold Hollywood for the moment.
I mean, you're going to be okay with that if you're Norway because you did get the EMP out. Eileen only sitting at 33%. So this is where you can actually really come through it. They're going to switch IPN back over to the Zenyatta and only got over to the Soldiers. So they just get rid of the res without even using it. Surprising.
You know, I feel like they could have made at least one more try at it, but Norway, you know, being decisive about their comp changes, so we'll see how it works out. Trying to dive Undead on the high ground. They get the kill. Pulse Bomb comes out a little bit late, doesn't find anything, but Norway has the upper hand coming into this one. MG more or less untouched. Oh, and Yao Yao gets a nano boost along with that Primal Rage. IPN can't escape. And it looks like this push for Norway is in pretty serious trouble.
That was actually a very good pincer attack from China. Yao Yao with the nano boost onto him, and then he basically herded everybody around the side, and there was a D.Va self-destruct at the other end of the corridor to pick up that kill. So Norway had the right idea. Orb of Discord on top of the cafe where the soldier was standing. They killed Undead early, but the response from China was just to all in with the nano boost.
Well, this has been the really amazing thing about China, right? Is that they seem to handle pressure from all sides so well. As we sort of see Norway going in again, they've only got about a minute 30 left. Aiko with the Dragon Blade has to spend a lot of time reflecting, gets taken down before he really gets any kills out of that. And China already cleaning this one up. A kill on IPN, that's a nasty split spawn that Norway's gonna have to deal with, especially if Traub goes down here, manages to survive, but that was a close call.
Eileen doing so much work yesterday on the Genji.
Is there any hero this guy's not amazing on?
It's been pretty impressive, and China, again, just coming through using the bare minimum. They dive in, 5 King pops the sound barrier, and Norway, because of their swaps, has not really ever had an ult economy advantage.
Here comes the EMP. Eileen waiting for an opportunity. Decod going really deep, pops a Primal Rage, I think he might have gotten stuck with the Pulse Bomb. Either way, the Primal Rage preventing him from taking too much damage. There's the EMP coming in immediately. IPN goes down, as you often see after that EMP gets popped. Undead, meanwhile, zoned a bit out. They're going to go ahead and give him the Tac Visor for some cleanup. They may not have even needed that.
Yeah.
Actually, Shy could have probably saved that one.
They did not need the nano boost, especially because Eileen's EMP was so good, eliminating the Zenyatta shields. Only 2 or 3 soldier bullets after that, depending on whether you get headshots or not. You can take that Zenyatta down. So you really see that shot calling coming into action. Target selection, very, very good.
This is a rough start for Norway if they can't at least get the payload going. Envision coming in from behind. Ooh, gets caught up, gets taken down, and already Onigod Helix rocketed to death as well. And Norway is looking like they are going to get full held here on Hollywood. IPN goes down. China with the celebration sound barrier. And that should be about that. I don't think Norway can get their reinforcements back in time. Aiko popping out of the D.Va suit right as the self-destruct goes off. Another EMP. And as Envision falls, that's going to be it. China with the full hold on Hollywood. Great start for the home team.
Yeah, absolutely dominant performance. Norway came in, they thought they were going to be able to use the Pharah and the Mercy, but they swapped it up, changed back over to a more dive composition to try and unseat Undead from the top of the cafe. And while they were successful at that, the Ana grenades in there sort of foiled their subsequent dives, and Eileen with the late EMPs, or flanking later EMPs, waiting until Norway committed, really sealing the deal. There's a fantastic defense from China on what was definitely their best map yesterday.
Absolutely, and it's frustrating, right? Because if you're Norway, you come in with the strategy. I think the pharmacy was a bit clever, but it was just handled so well. China had the comp immediately to deal with it.
Well, it's rough because China was not showing a lot of soldier play yesterday, and if you're expecting the Tracer and Genji, that's something you think might work. A credit to Norway for trying to swap it up, but China definitely doing a great job of countering the dive effectively and playing around the cafe. So, you know, Norway, if I was Norway after seeing China's performance yesterday on Hollywood, I think you probably don't expect to win this map regardless. And I think you have to look ahead. Just because this one has been one-sided, Norway obviously still has a chance themselves to full hold. But just because this map was so one-sided, you look towards the future and say, all right, we're finally going to get a map we can pick up next and focus your efforts on that instead.
That's right. So Norway on the defense now, China getting ready to attack, and they only need that first tick on the control point to win this map, since Norway was full held. And I guess people are in harmony. We're in harmony. Our casting is always in harmony. That's right. We're the Zenyatta of casters.
Well, IPN, speaking of that Zenyatta, has had some great...
oh, he's so good, dude.
Yeah, great one-shots on Tracer players, so he's been punishing peaks very well in his match so far here, so keep an eye on him and whether he's going to be able to contain Undead on this Tracer. China going for a very standard dive composition in this meta, and Norway going to be playing a very similar defensive style.
Here comes the dive that they were expecting. Can they handle it? Onigod able to kind of push China back out of the cafe. Yao Yao does go down. Didn't get quite the support from the team he was looking for. Oh, but Eileen comes in. 2 kills already. Both supports eliminated, and Norway routed. That is going to be that, man. Aiko taken out as well, and, well,
that's it.
Well then, all right.
That's a map of Overwatch, Noah.
Doesn't get much quicker than that, does it? All right, then. I guess Eileen decides he's not going to deal with any of these shenanigans. He's like, I'm just going to kill the supports.
So the main difference when we saw the similar defensive styles with the Soldier 76 and the Ana in the cafe on Hollywood, when we saw Norway going in, they didn't have as much support, right? It was a less coordinated dive onto the second level.
Sure.
Whereas China there.
Oh, yeah, I'm clapping. You can't hear it, but I'm clapping.
I'm so glad you're clapping, Noah.
That's right.
Nobody can see what you're clapping for.
Oh, you're right.
So.
That did sound strange. Well, Lucio got play of the game.
So they can't hear you clapping.
That's why I'm clapping.
They can't see you clapping, and they can't see the reason why you are clapping.
What is the sound of a Noah clapping that is unseen as far as the reason goes?
And on camera and unheard.
My proudest moment right there. Thanks for sharing it with me,
clapping at all.
That is it. So that's Hollywood. What do you know?
So he was clapping for Lucio play of the game.
I was. It was a Lucio play of the
you didn't get
game.
to see it,
It was a
so.
good reason to clap. It's just unfortunately the fans out there couldn't share it with me.
No,
it's not my fault.
But that dive that we saw coming in with the Winston and the Diva at the same time, it was just much, much more coordinated from China and able to easily unseat and take that point. So, but if you're Norway, you did have some strong performances on different maps yesterday, and Norway also only got to pick their first map because they sort of won through the rest of the series up until the last map as well. So this is going to be Norway's chance to see what they want to play when it comes to control and if they're going to, have a solid strategy. I think they're probably going to pick Lijiang Tower, even though they didn't pick it yesterday. They did do very well on it. So, and if they want to start using that Pharah again, perhaps, or playing with compositions, there's some good opportunities to do that in Lijiang.
That's true. If they see the pharmacy as a way to maybe address some of the perceived weaknesses of China, we're probably going to see maps that sort of favor that. But I'm waiting to see what's going to pop up. We haven't seen it on our screen just yet.
It's Nepal, actually.
Oh, yeah, it is. There it is. It popped up now, yeah.
So we'll be Nepal. Another map where the points are quite different. You can use a variety of team compositions on them. There will be, I think, if they want to go back to the Zarya, some opportunities, even though I wasn't particularly impressed with those compositions from them yesterday. But I think that you're not going to beat China in a straight-up dive versus dive contest if you're Norway.
It does seem that way. They've got a chance, though, to come back, and it's a big deal for Norway because the worst-case scenario for these guys in the tournament is that they would get like 4-0 or something, and then you have a real danger of Hong Kong able to take some games off Romania, which I think is totally possible, and then taking second place in that group. So Norway, I feel like they need to, at least go 2-2 here to really have a good chance of getting out.
Norway already has the win versus Hong Kong, so even if they completely fold against China, they still have a chance to redeem themselves against Romania and go 2-1 in terms of victory and losses. So I think that it's not the end of the world if they don't go 2-2, and we'll just have to see if they can pull it back. So now finally, Norway actually gets a map selection beyond the first one, and what can they do with Nepal? And this is a map where we could see some more tanky compositions, depending on what our first point is going to be. If it is going to be Sanctum, you can run more Soldier, you can run more tanks.
Right.
Looks like it will be Shrine.
Man, with the weather in Shanghai right now, I would love to be in those frosty, snowy mountains.
It is so hot in Shanghai right now.
Dude, if you include the humidity yesterday, in U.S. terms, it was about 117 degrees here.
I know. It's been brutal.
And most of those degrees are in the studio, too. It's hot. That's what I'm trying to say. It's hot. It's humid. I want to go to Nepal. We're at least going to go there virtually as the attack begins. China in the blue this time, Norway in the red, and we are on Sanctum. Standard dive for both teams, although Onigod switching it up a bit on that Zarya. We've seen him play it before.
Oh man,
Decod with an early kill on Shine.
Immediately, but the turnaround there as both Undead and Eileen get the flanks onto the back line.
Eileen looking for some cleanup. Onigod trying to roast him. So low, just 7 health on Eileen right now. Has to back away, has to contend with the Ico. Can't quite do it. Dies to the dive. And Norway with a chance to take this point early, perhaps. Although losing Decod may give China a chance to fight back. Undead did go down as well. It has been such a brawl so far on Sanctum. Norway does claim the point, though, but can they hold it?
Yeah, they should be able to hold it. Not going to quite land that pulse bomb. Initial kills definitely going in Norway's favor. And we are going to see the baby Diva here. She still is desuited, so there's a bit of a moment here. They're finally the suit coming back for MG.
That's right. China just trying to slowly make their way towards the point.
And Undead
did get the kill on IPM. Yeah, that could be good.
They keep getting the backline pickoffs. The supports are having a lot of trouble staying alive on the Norwegian side.
Well, they're getting the front line too. They're getting every line at the moment, so Norway will have to give up that point. Looks like China's going to flip it. About 40%. Looks like it's going to be 37 at the end for Norway, so not a bad first hold on the point.
Norway needs to play further back. So right now, if we watch where the Zarya shields are going from Onigod, they're mostly going on to Decod, up in the front line so we can get some charge. But that's leaving the supports, the Lucio and the Zenyatta, very vulnerable to Eileen and Undead.
Eileen just poking, nearly has that Dragon Blade ready to go. One more left click will do it. Or just waiting. There we go. And so what's he going to be able to do? The Transcendence comes out from China as they try to hold off Norway. Is this the moment? Aiko waiting for it. He's got his Dragon Blade as well. Onigod does go down, so Norway short-handed here. They may have to back away. Soundberry used. They are committing. Defensive ultimates coming out for both sides as the Genji starts to cut away at the supports. Five King does go down, but Eileen answering right back with a kill onto IPN. Looking for some more, but he's so low. Finally does go down. That pulse bomb, though, I believe, did pop MG out of his mech. At least he will be popped out now anyway. Norway trying to push forward with that primal rage. And Shy, put the orb on the D.Va! Put the orb on the D.Va! Oh, she got back in the map. She's okay. And Norway able to maybe flip the point. They've nearly got it, but as China jumps back in, now Norway's going to have to back away. It was a close fight, but Norway just couldn't flip it over.
No, they couldn't, and they used basically everything. Both teams committing. Shy somehow getting nearly another Transcendence. That was the key ultimate that started that fight in the first place.
Right.
So doing a great job of adding the damage from the back line. You can see how far back he was shooting the orbs at the Winston. Decod not surviving, so Onigod's going to have an amazing Graviton surge here for Norway to come back.
Envision is very close to his pulse bomb. If they can get a big bang combo, maybe they can make it happen. Envision does get the kill into Undead, who's just chilling by the health pack. Here we go. They've got the Transcendence as well. Shy had that one ready. Five King still did go down to the pulse bomb, but now Onigod in danger of dying to this D.Va. MG has tons of health. That's not going to work out. Beaten to death with the robot arm of D.Va. Meanwhile, Envision backing away. China trying to hold this point, and Norway comes so close again, but it's 99%, and that will be it. China will take Sanctum.
Onigod tried to pop that Graviton Surge. He did not think Shy was going to have another Transcendence up that quickly.
It was really fast.
But Shy was perfectly positioned to deal with the Graviton and turn that fight on its head. So only one Graviton coming down in that entire round. Backline focus. Norway needs to figure out a way to keep their supports consistently alive, because that's been the major problem.
Yeah, and you know, I feel like China tastes blood in the water now. They know that they're having some success getting back onto the supports, and why stop now? They're just going to keep doing that for the rest of the series until Norway figures out a way to stop it.
Yeah, absolutely they will. So we are going to be heading on to our second point, which will be Shrine here on Nepal.
Yep.
And a little bit more open this time. Norway still going to be sticking to that Zarya. So we'll watch where the bubbles go. Are they going on to Decod again? Undead going to be sneaking around the side. He's going to run into the main tanks, though, of Norway and have to back off. Envision trying to zone him out in the 1v1. There's the bubble. On to Winston.
Yep. Bubble's gone now, though. IPN taken out by Eileen already. Again, Norway losing those supports to the dive from China. Aiko popped out of the D.Va suit. Not a great start for Norway here on Shrine. Looks like China's going to be able to claim this one pretty early. And there goes Onigod, and that'll be about that. China getting the control percent building.
This isn't working for Norway. Like, every time China sees the bubble go down, they're ignoring the Winston, they're falling back, and then they're getting a flank or a pincer attack off with their DPS onto the Norwegian supports. So they have to play more defensively, and they have to make sure that there are bubbles available, or somebody is in that back line.
Yeah.
To go ahead and protect Trump and IPN.
That was a really sick absorb there on Undead's Pulse Bomb. That was a close call for Norway. They were really grouped up, rather. But Aiko is ready with the defense matrix.
Yeah, I think your mind's somewhere else, Noah.
I guess so. Yeah, mine back in the game there. No, Undead was trying to Pulse Bomb them, not something else. Eileen with 2 kills already, and yeah, I really don't think the Zarya is working out for Norway. And Onigod, you know, used to play a lot of the Diva, a lot of the Zarya, and when he moved over to that more DPS-centric role, I feel like he really started to shine. So I'm pretty surprised to see them actually tunneling on the Zarya pick quite a bit, and now we're in that situation again like we were on Sanctum, where they basically need to have a really good Graviton Surge combo to make the Zarya pick worthwhile at all.
Yeah, but there's not a great Graviton Surge combo. I mean, they have the Big Bang at least coming up.
That's it, right?
And maybe the Self-Destruct if they're lucky, but Norway playing these triple tank comps is just getting picked apart by the mobility and the damage from the Chinese team.
They're pretty close to 6 ultimates, so we'll see if they want to commit here. There's the sound barrier already. There's the Transcendence, so China using both support ultimates in this fight already. Trying to go in as Norway fights. There's a Graviton Surge. Envision used the Pulse Bomb early, so they couldn't do the combo. There is the bigger bang, though, and Aiko able to take out Yao Yao. Meanwhile, Eileen with the Dragon Blade. Again, and Aiko already going down. Oh, nice
fantastic.
reflect into Envision. And, I mean, what do you say? China just so ready for everything Norway's doing. It's
the target selection from China that's so impressive with these Discord orb targets. They're able just to use their coordination to just slam Norway. I mean, that was not a close map. And that was,
no.
I think, you know, we look at Norway, that was their selection, and the triple tank just not really working out for them. And I mean, Eileen, damn. Yeah. Doing work.
Well, Eileen, I mean, we've seen him do so good on basically every champion he's picked, and this is just another occasion for that. Dragon Blade, tons of damage, tons of death.
Well, what's so impressive to me, Doa, is look at the timing there from Eileen. So what was going on in that room was the Graviton Surge and the Self-Destruct combo.
Yeah.
But he was just picking off people from the outside, and right as the Graviton Surge was going down, that's when the Dragon Blade was pulled, so he could clean up the fight and go into the corridor where he could get easy resets in order to help his team. So just the timing is so excellent from these Chinese players that it's very difficult to out-team fight them, and that's been Norway's trouble for sure.
I would say so. I mean, China right now looking like a team that's a semi-final material at least. I mean, obviously these are only our first 2 groups of the Overwatch World Cup, but just the way China's playing, I would put this team on par with a lot of the best regions in any region and any normal tournament too.
I mean, this is a very good team. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
The consistency in their communication and execution has been world-class so far. And you know, obviously, there was the question of, okay, they had a weaker opponent. They had the 32nd seed in Romania. But now they're playing against Norway, which we saw pretty handily deal with Hong Kong yesterday.
Yeah, they look good.
But we're not seeing really any slack from China. They're executing with the same precision over and over and over again. Right. They look better than France right now, honestly.
I agree. I totally agree. I mean, France looked, frankly, a little bit sloppy against Argentina yesterday in that map. So China, I think, pretty definitively looking like the best team in this particular stage of the World Cup so far anyway. Norway, you know, if they can tighten things up a little bit, if they maybe put Onigod back on the DPS, shift him off the Zarya, I think they're going to find more success. But we'll see.
All right, well, thank you so much, Monty and Doa. We will hear from them in a little bit. Welcome to halftime here as we get ready to discuss this one. I'm just going to be very honest. I just did not expect this at all.
Thank God none of us got up to go to the bathroom or something. We would have been late coming back to this desk. That was so fast.
That was fast indeed. I mean, I did get a chance to talk to Aiko and Envision prior to the match, and I did ask, like, guys, you've seen how dominant China was yesterday. Do you have anything in store for them? And they were like, actually, yes. We have custom-made strats exactly like catering to the weaknesses of China. So they did think like the pharmacy is gonna like somehow work against China. And I mean, in theory, it's not even the worst idea. However, the fact that I had to play on Hollywood, which is already a bit more tricky than Numbani would be. They did expect it. They were kind of okay with it. But I mean, I personally, and I guess you would also agree that Numbani would have been a better map for a pharmacy combo. However, Norway doesn't like Numbani, so I guess it was good that that wasn't picked. Even King's Row, I feel like could have worked out a bit better for them. but again, it ended up on Hollywood, and they swapped really quickly off that pharmacy.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they actually swapped so fast. It was like they had a res ready, but then it got hacked, and they couldn't get the res off, and then suddenly they're like, okay, I guess we're just never going to res. But I don't think it was going to work like that. I think that they kind of put themselves in a really bad position. I think that they went into that match with a game plan, immediately switched off it, and then that's why that looked so one-sided. Even when it went to Nepal, they went on a Zarya. I don't think that they anticipated running Zarya or had planned running Zarya until they got to that match. I think prior to the match, they had an idea, and then the second it didn't work immediately, they were just like, okay, I guess we're done with this.
And here's the Hollywood game here. For those of you guys just joining us here, I mean, I'm shocked you didn't catch it because of how quick it was. And it's very unfortunate, you know, considering that. I mean, like, look, we know that Norway is a great team. We've seen what they're capable of doing, but this Chinese roster, Rachel, is just, they are stellar.
You know, they packed a lot of highlights into a very short 2 maps here. We had a lot of great play, especially as we went on to the second map, Nepal, from Eileen from our Undead again. But Eileen's Genji was just unstoppable. There were certain moments there where I felt like this was just a highlight reel of him. It was really fast, and it was all Genji kills on the kill feed.
Yeah, it's like a thing that a support main or a tank main doesn't like to see. All offense on screen at the same, because he was so good. He was so good, he was killing it.
I just don't think the Zarya worked out for them on Nepal. I mean, the first round, I think there was, what, one Graviton Surge, if at all, and on the second one, like, you need that Graviton Surge, and then you need something to combo it with, but they didn't really have anything.
I mean, even if you see in this replay, you have the Zarya up against the D.Va, a matchup that she's supposed to be favored in, but you see MG right there just take the health pack away from Oniga, and it's suddenly like this giant bullying session. And I feel like that's kind of how it felt throughout the rest of that map.
Well, that particular matchup was really surprising to me, too, because I thought this was the one chance that Norway was going to have here when we saw both support ultimates go off, and then after Zenyatta, we saw that Graviton Surge come down from Zarya. I thought that was the end of it, but that's when Eileen came through with that triple kill. It was unstoppable.
I won't lie, I do think a lot of the players, because we had so many opportunities to talk with committee members and players and managers and coaches, and everyone kind of undersold China. You know, Flame, like in our conversations, everyone was just like,
what happened?
No, we got them. We got them.
I mean, this match was, those 2 maps were more one-sided, I think, than the next 2 maps will be. I think that the circumstances for those matches weren't as even as people think. I mean, the compositions are a huge problem. If you have bad compositions, you can have really one-sided games, regardless of whether or not the skill is actually there. I mean, coming into this, I think people perceived China as the weakest region of the 4 between Korea, North America, and Europe. So they weren't sure what to expect, you know, but I think that they're obviously proving to be a very big contender in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to expect here. You know, again, competition is everything.
I just really hope that Norway will, you know, like they can't really win a direct dive versus dive against China. It's just not really possible. So either they're coming up with yet another strat, and I do know they have several things in store against China. I know they've been experimenting with a lot of different things, none of that involving Sombra, because that's just a hero they don't like. They don't like implementing it in their own comps. But I just hope they come together more. It felt like mostly on Nepal, they went in so aggressively and they didn't really play together, which is odd to me, because when we talked to their coach, Taigen, he told us that he thinks that the weakness of China is that they rely more on single plays. Like they want to get those flanks. They do rely so hard on individual plays and not on big team fights.
Yeah, they kind of let Eileen do his thing,
exactly,
which is weird for me because I think that has been countered before. People watched Shadowburn lose last season. They've watched Genji's
Norway
get shut down.
anticipated it too. They did point that out.
So you would think maybe they go back to the Ana, try to hit a sleep dart to shut down a Dragon Blade. Maybe, I mean, you don't want to pick Reinhardt, but if you get an Earthshatter, I mean, it's just stuff like that. I think that they went with the Zarya thinking, okay, we can shut down the Genji with the Zarya, but obviously it did not work out like that.
Did not pan out for them by any means whatsoever. Well, guys, I believe we had an opportunity to catch up with some of the players and, you know, get their perspective and really see how this matchup and just in general how the World Cup, the Overwatch World Cup will play out for them. Just go ahead and check that out.
昨天我们看他的比赛，觉得他们的 C 位选手可能发挥的比较优秀一些。然后我们今天比赛会从他们的 C 位上做一些针对，然后可能会取得比较好的效果。
I think that China is a very dominant team. They showed yesterday against Romania. But after watching their games, we have noticed some weaknesses in them. And watching some of the old VODs from games that wasn't cast in the China League, I think we have some strats that can take them by surprise.
Well, and there you heard right there, they felt like they had some strats that could take them down. One of those strategies being the pharmacy combo coming into Hollywood, and just did not work out.
The thing is also, though, with that strat, when we did get to talk to them, I did ask, so you practiced it a lot? And they were like, no. No, we actually didn't. So they didn't actually use it in scrims. It was kind of like a theory crafting thing.
Well,
so
they
were like,
saw
it should work
right?
on paper, and they weren't really impressed with the soldier plays on the games they saw from China. So they were like,
they were trying to mind game China. I thought that was again, like a great strategy, but also a little bit presumptuous to think that they were going to be able to force some decision-making perhaps from Undead and make them switch off a hero, or who knows, they were even talking about Undead being the in-game leader and how difficult that would be to have a Tracer, who is in the action, not quite calling everything. But all the weaknesses they tried to assume for China, China said, no way, we are doing just fine.
I think that they out-mind gamed themselves. I think that they were kind of afraid to take them in a head-on-head, and now they kind of put themselves in a rough spot, but they definitely have time to bounce back.
Yeah, no, again, we'll see if this happens here. If Norway's going to be able to put it together. Of course, big thank you to our partners, Omen, T-Mobile, Union Pay, and Blizzard for making this happen here. And I think we are ready to go into the game, if I'm correct. Yes, hopefully in a little while. There you see the boys from China. Everyone's really excited for them here in the arena. And look at that. I mean, they're getting ready to go, Seltzer. They're feeling it.
The fans here, I mean, I love how much support they brought. Not even just the custom-made signs. They've got their little changeable signs. There's fan clubs for almost all of these players. And if there wasn't for everyone, there will be after World Cup.
Probably. And then on the other side, their opponents. If you're just joining us here, Norway. A big fan of this team personally, but so far they haven't shown me much, Zoe.
Oh, come on. Yesterday, they came here and put
Stop living in the past, sister.
Okay. When the past was better, you kind of have to go with that. But I know, I'm confident they can, they just have to play to their strength. They have to play as a team. They really just should try to play their game and not have China force their game on them.
I wonder what do you think they're going to go for the pick, Flame?
I mean, they saw trying to play Horizon yesterday. I'm not sure that you want to take them there. I'm not sure. I think Norway is kind of putting themselves down lower than they probably should be. I think that they're trying way too hard to get in the heads of China when they can just take them in the one-on-one matchup. I think that they looked good yesterday, but anything can happen right now.
All right, guys. Well, it's time to get into our next half of play. Let's see how it all comes out. Can Norway bounce back, or will China reign supreme? Take it away, guys.
That's right, we're back. Doan Monte Cristo here for the second half of China versus Norway. And I really agree with Flame said at the end there. I think Norway just needs to kind of settle down a bit, stop trying to get into China's head, and just kind of do what they've shown they can be really good at.
Yeah, and it is interesting. So both of these teams played Horizon as the assault map yesterday. But crucially, Norway was the team that full held Horizon. And they did it with we've seen, as we get more professional games on this map, we've seen different ways of defending. We've seen teams like Argentina play a very defensive style, trying to play Reaper behind the point on the low ground.
Yeah.
But what we saw Norway do was play a high ground sort of spread defense where they were intercepting the enemy team before they even got to the point. So it'll be curious to see which styles of defense and offense we are going to see from both of these teams today, because there has been a lot of variety so far.
Yeah. I'm wondering if we're going to see more holds on Point A going forward. We talked about a lot yesterday that Point A was really hard to hold specifically on this map, but what Norway did, where they were sort of set up to intercept the flankers that caused so much problems, maybe that is going to be sort of the way going forward if you want to hold on Point A.
Yeah, and we also saw some interesting strategies from China. MG busted out the Widowmaker on their first attack.
Good point.
I wasn't really sold on that because he was trying to play kind of the long angle shooting into that sort of rock climbing room.
Yeah.
But you are vulnerable to getting dove on that high ground if you're the Widowmaker and then cleaned up on the point afterwards. So I'm not sure if we're going to see that again here.
Training facility. Do you think that if you go that direction, you'll get to where you test out new heroes and stuff? Or the other
is that where it happens?
Game mode, maybe. Well, no, because there's the sky and everything there too, unless it's a giant simulated sky like the Truman Show. Who knows? Are we in the Matrix?
That's my question every day, Noah.
Spiraled out of control very quickly. All right, it's time. We're gonna have Norway in the red, China in the blue once again as we get things started on Lunar Colony. Norway on the attack as We start things off here.
Okay, so it looks like China is going to be playing back on the point, which is what we typically see with Reaper compositions. You want to draw people into the point for all that AoE damage. And the dive composition attempting to take this high ground. Actually, China's playing pretty aggressively here from the high ground position, even though they don't have a lot of damage, and that's just going to be a back door from the Tracer. They've got to get down there.
Yeah, they're just trying to use that high ground, but they're not really able to be on the point right now. Norway building up that control meter a little bit. Didn't get quite to the first tick, but they did take down 5K, so China has to fall back. There we go, back on the point now. Here's where Reaper is supposed to shine, right? Meanwhile, Envision on the outside, trying to just make things annoying for Shy. Can he get the kill? They go in, Decon helps him out. Shy goes down. Good start for Norway as they are routing China here on Lunar Colony. Eileen taken down by Envision. Bet he was waiting for that one for a while, and that is going to be a point A take for Norway.
I just don't understand what China's goal in that defense was, like sort of tickling people from the high ground with the Reaper, because Norway's call there was very good. If they're just going to play that with their short range composition, then why not just try and back-cap Envision, made the flank around, and then it forced them to reposition, but the picks had already come on to their support players. So a really awkward defense for China, and now that's going to leave Norway with about 6.5 minutes on the clock to finish out this map.
Yeah, Envision waiting for a sweet opportunity to use that pulse bomb. See if he finds one. They've got a good amount of ults too, and they've got the time that they don't need to commit everything right now. Undead just trying to stay alive. Shy under pressure. The pulse bomb not going to take him out though. 5Kings chasing Envision away. Decod goes down, unfortunately, for Norway. And remember how I said they didn't need to commit those ultimates? Well, they used a couple of them, and Eileen just going to wait for everything to sort of get a bit more calm and then pull up the Dragon Blade. Maybe not the most necessary Dragon Blade in the world. Nano Blade, rather, but...
It did actually force them back a little bit, but I agree with you, Doe. I think that's one that could have been saved. Onigod is getting low, but not actually going to fall.
Well, he used it... I mean, usually if you use the Dragon Blade like that before teams are committing, then they just back away, you know?
Yeah.
And they can handle you trying to come through that door, just like what we saw.
And really, China had already won that fight, even though they used fewer ultimates. So now they should be in a very good position. Norway came in, tried to snowball based off an ult economy advantage, but couldn't make it work. And Envision actually is going to pick off Shy. That's very big.
That is huge. He nearly went down to Undead as well. It's one of those crucial kills, but is Norway ready to try to capitalize on this? They're not really diving the point right now, and again, they don't really need to. They can still take time, but Decod going to go ahead and use the Primal Rage. They're going in. There's the sound barrier for both sides, actually. Pulse Bomb doesn't pick up any kills. Onigod over on the Soldier 76 now a little while ago. He's got the high ground, and he's trying to find those picks. Meanwhile, Undead just in the middle was able to get one kill with that Death Blossom. Norway getting a bit of a lead man-to-man, but China still on the point for the moment.
It's not gonna matter. I mean, the Reaper is still here picking up all of this damage onto the Winston. Has to reload, though.
Yeah, Winston gets away for the moment. Yao, the Winston on China's side, goes down. Norway getting a lot of time here on point B, actually, but the respawns are coming. Eileen with the Dragon Blade, Nano Boost over onto MG with the Diva, and that is going to be the ticket for China to maybe push this back. They've got the go-ahead kills to do it.
Yeah, you can see Onigod just getting bullied there by the tank line. Defensive Matrix going to save Eileen, and Norway once again has to reset. Still plenty of time for them to work with. Lots of ult commitment already, so we should see some poking here from Norway and China as they try and get back into this match. But China used a lot there at the end just to hold.
Yeah. 54% for Norway is a very solid push on point B for Lunar Colony. That's a tough one to push into, and Norway looking a lot better here on this assault map.
Wow, they still have time too, crucially.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. They can do a couple pushes, build up some ultimates, and then go for another big commitment. This next attack doesn't need to be super hardcore. MG getting a little bit low with that Diva suit. Envision has a pulse bomb, but again, you know, will he save it? Will he use it now? I think he's probably going to save it. Trying to get a couple kills already. Eileen just wrecking people on Norway, but that's okay. Again, that wasn't the push for Norway that was supposed to take the point. That was a push to build some ultimate.
Well, I mean, but they built ultimates on the other side too. I think the real problem here for Norway is they keep running the triple DPS, and they want to do that, but there is no Diva. I mean, MG going to switch back to the Diva right now.
Well, he just wanted Norway, that suit back, you know?
Yeah, for Norway, though, there's no real counter to Undead, which is why Decod keeps dying, because the Reaper is able to take him down so easily.
Well, Eileen dies. There's a good start for Norway. China uses the sound barrier. Envision has Shy bottled up in spawn right now. Aiko does go down, though, so Envision needs to get back to the team. And again, it's like you said, who is going to kill this Reaper? Well, I think it's Reaper the one who's going to be doing the killing. Gets the kill onto Decod once again. Norway does come out a little bit ahead. If Onigod can have a big tac visor here, it could be big. Eileen goes down, but has Norway lost too much?
Yao Yao's bubbles have been so good, Noah, throughout this entire engagement, protecting Undead. The combination of that defensive matrix and the Winston bubble has been making sure Undead does a huge amount of damage.
Our support ultimates being used by Norway. They want to keep this push going. Envision still has a little bit of that sound barrier left, and they are getting the kills. Eileen answering back though. Oh, taken down by IPN. That sick headshot doing work for Zenyatta, and Norway going to get more control percent building. Is this it? Have they taken it? They have. Norway coming out with a successful attack round and 2:15 on the clock. That is a solid attack for Norway.
Definitely much better from Norway in this round, although I do think China had a very weird positioning for the defense with their composition on point A.
Yeah.
Point B, they held out for a good long time, over 4 minutes actually. So they did what they could, but eventually going to be taking that map and getting a pretty healthy time bank out of it as well.
All right, well, Norway sets a pretty high bar for Lunar Colony. China on the attack now. And on our screens, we can see MG hovering over that Widowmaker. They used it yesterday. Is he going to bring it back again here against Norway?
Yeah, sometimes we do, of course, see the Widowmaker in conjunction with dive compositions, because the idea is the aggression of the rest of the highly mobile heroes makes it so that the Widowmaker has a lot of room to work with, creating a big zone on the map.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about the counter dive from the other team if they're too busy handling everybody kind of jumping into their faces.
Now, Norway is going to be using the similar composition to what we saw them yesterday, so no Lucio. It's about a spread defense on the high ground with Ana and Zenyatta.
Yeah.
With that long-range Soldier 76. So I don't really think MG is going to get much of an opportunity to snipe here. He should just be pushed out by the long-range fire. So, and they'll be ready. They'll be definitely ready for this Widowmaker as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they were watching the matches yesterday just like we were. They know what the possibilities are. Looks like there's mail on that computer there. Somebody should check that. Could be important.
I don't think so. I think this station has been abandoned.
Could be a prince in a far-off country who has some money for them, you know? You don't want to miss that opportunity, Monte Cristo. You'd regret it for the rest of your life. Well, here we go. Norway on the defense, this time China trying to match the attack, but it's a strong one. MG sticking with that Widowmaker. Let's see if he can get some shots.
Yeah, they are at least going to start with it. So looking for the angle right now. Nobody showing a line of sight. So Onigod needs to be very careful with this. Does take a body shot, but
it's super risky. Onigod checking things out. MG looking for another shot through that window. Gets the kill onto Onigod. That was the target he wanted to take down. That was the long-range threat he would have had to maybe deal with. And now that Widowmaker's wide open. Nice shot onto IPN. Here comes a Winston. You got to back off now. Oh, gets taken out with the midair punch, but
he got a few shots too. So
yeah.
Not in as bad a shape as they could be, but Envision low. Envision taken down by Undead, and they were not fast enough to deal with the Widowmaker. Instead, sort of milling around on that high ground within line of sight. They should have definitely anticipated the Widowmaker as a possibility here, and that's going to be a very quick first cap from China.
It just didn't feel to me that they were taking the Widowmaker as seriously as they had to. I mean, where they retreated to was another open line of fire for that hero. So if you see the Widowmaker, you got to back up. You got to use those corners, of which there are many on Lunar Colony, and they didn't really do that.
Now, the problem is, too, they really didn't want to group up on that high ground and make themselves vulnerable to a lot of AoE attack.
Envision. Okay. And MG is on fire right now. IPN playing with it.
They have to walk onto the point, too, and they have to walk into the line of sight.
I almost said a swear. That was so good. MG with a clean shot now. Oh, got to worry about the Winston yet again. I'll see if Decod can take him down. Gets back onto the point as China looks to set a much better time than Norway was able to achieve. Still 6:20 left on the clock as Norway scrambles to hold it. China getting the kills, but they've got to deal with those respawns, and they come fast. Undead finally falling to Onigod, and Norway with this tac visor should be able to push back. Yeah, that's the end of it for China.
They are. So even though the Widowmaker died, and that was not particularly consequential because the initial picks had already occurred, China only 5 members on the point at that given time, and the Diva rushing back, not able to be there quite quickly enough. That tac visor from Onigod. So Norway stabilizes just a little bit, but many, many minutes left to sit here and burn. And China actually coming up on a pretty healthy ultimate advantage right now.
Yep. Norway with a bit to work with on the ultimate side, but not as much as they'd hoped for right now. Shy looking for those sweet, sweet right-click picks.
Yeah, China as a team plays angles really well. We saw that with Shy right here. We saw it with MG on that Widowmaker, and they're just going to go in.
I think that's smart. He saw the Genji on the threat from the Winston, wanted to keep Eileen up. He used that. Now Norway comes in with their own Transcendence in answer. The support ultimate's traded. Yao Yao does go down. Norway with an early start on this defensive hold. MG popped on the Diva suit, and it looks like Norway's going to be able to handle this one.
I think that was a bit presumptuous from China. The poke damage had gone down. You don't need to use the Transcendence right there, especially they should know Trans up on that other side. So Norway pretty simply able to take that fight, and Envision still putting on a little bit of forward pressure.
You know, I think the trick there was that Eileen was really close to his Dragon Blade, and so because of that, Shy really wanted to prioritize keeping him up because they saw that as their answer to sort of taking more time on the point. So, yeah, was it a mistake? Possibly, but I think that was the theory behind it at least.
Yeah. Now, Eileen's still sitting on that Dragon Blade, but has to wait for 5King, a few more % until he gets the necessary protection. Now, watch and see, when will Traub use this sound barrier? Are they going to wait for it? They have to be disciplined.
Here we go. D-God pops that Primal Rage. Well, they're using the support ult right away. They need a lot out of this push, though, and Shy going down early does not help. There's the self-destruct and a takedown Yao Yao, and Norway, again, repelling the push with ease. China, for the first time I think we've seen in this tournament, looking a little bit frantic.
Yeah, they are, and from what we've seen from their previous discipline, yes, the staggering occurs brutally for MG. As we've seen their previous support ultimates be very well coordinated, this time they're engaging just a little bit early, which is allowing Norway to peel backwards and then re-engage. Traub, great, but we talked about the discipline, very good there. So he's the one who has he's not as itchy with his trigger finger and actually holds on to his ultimate throughout that entire fight. Same thing with Eileen, though, not committing that Dragon Blade just yet.
That's right. Here we go again. Shy pops that Transcendence arguably very early once more. And China not really getting a lot of kills or pressure out of that. Answering sound barrier from Norway as they come in. Ooh, they do layer their support ultimates, though. Not an ideal situation. China going to hold the point for the moment with that self-destruct, but D-Con immediately back on. They're going to dive back onto China, and that's going to be another hold for Norway.
Yes, but this is the window for China, Noah. The layering of those support ultimates is a very crucial mistake. Eileen saw that go down, does not pull the Dragon Blade, and that means there's going to be very little defense for Norway coming through in the next push. So this is the really good opportunity for China to actually take this point. There may not be another one this game.
I mean, a lot of this rests on Onigod now. He's really close to that tac visor. That's the one thing that could maybe push Eileen back during that Dragon Blade. If he can build it up quickly, maybe they've got an answer, but China's coming in right now. Waiting for an opportunity to use that Dragon Blade. Tac visor nearly up for Onigod. Here we go, he's gonna use it to try to push China back. Eileen gonna hold the Dragon Blade again. He doesn't need to use it right now. And Onigod not finding a whole lot. Here we go. China finally getting the fight they were looking for, and that is the cue for Eileen to grab that Dragon Blade. Nice reflect kill onto IPM, and that's gonna be a take. 2:07 on the clock. They get it, slightly less than the time bank, but still a very good push for China.
You know, China made some mistakes that round. They made more mistakes in that map than we've seen them on any other map so far here at the Overwatch World Cup. But that said, they finally capitalized. They understood that that was going to be their best time to push. Good patience from Eileen with the Dragon Blade. And it's those kind of miscommunications that in a high-level game of Overwatch can really sink you. The layering of those support ults. Had there been a transfer Norway, had there been a sound barrier in that fight, they wouldn't have been able to get the effectiveness out of the Dragon Blade. So very good precision timing from China and really taking advantage of Norway's error.
Yeah, it's all connected. If you have that support ultimate, you can save the tactical visor on the Soldier 76 a little bit longer maybe too.
Yeah, Oni got it, you're right. Had to pop that very early, and it didn't get really any kills. It was a very good response by Yao Yao. Kept his leap and his bubble available just to cut him off and make sure he wasn't going to have that line of sight. So China looks like they're going to be going back to the attack Widowmaker.
Okay.
Norway, they are going to vary their composition just a little bit. Aiko will be on the defense on the Genji instead of the Diva this time.
Yeah, going for that defensive 3 DPS. And they will be ready, I think, very ready to jump on that Widowmaker if they see it again. And Ico, of course, with that option to just reflect it right back at her.
I think you're right, Joe. I think that's the logic. They wanted another hero that could quickly
here we go.
And there we go.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I think they were ready for that Widowmaker. Yeah,
much better.
They saw that one coming, didn't they?
Good adaptation. They played further forward this time. Was cutting off the Widowmaker while the rest of the team tried to sneak around. So that will be a good delay here for Norway. And
will MG swap though?
He just doesn't look like it. I think he probably should. I think you don't want to do this, but he's still looking for that attack. This time, the rest of China is forming sort of a defensive ball around him, but you can't do that. You actually do have to take this point, obviously. So
you can't move forward if you're sitting back defending the Widowmaker, and kind of Assault is a bit about moving forward, isn't it?
Definitely is. Yeah. And so Eileen finally going to get into the point, and
a reflect should be back up for Ico. There it is. Yeah, that actually got reflected right there. That was a close call. Envision, meanwhile, trying to get in the back lines, trying to put pressure onto China. Again, who hasn't been able to move too far forward. Yao Yao did get the kill onto Ico. Now Onigod goes down. So China just slowly grinding away at the members of Team Norway. And this should be a point they take.
This should be after those two members going down, but they haven't been able to focus anyone else yet. It is a 5v6, and the spawns are going to be just a little bit closer here for Norway.
Well,
but
nice stick on the Trob, or at least he got him anyway. And that's a very, very low health IPN. Yeah, he will go down too, so China, not the easiest time taking point A, but they should be able to grab it. Ico holding, though, he takes down Eileen and actually only got back on the point. Are you kidding me? They will actually hold for a little bit longer.
Yeah, that kill onto Eileen was crucial.
Yeah.
Eileen has the Dragon Blade, but no real opportunity to use it. Gonna try and backcap here, but Norway will contest with all 6 members.
And Norway storms onto the point. Just 20 seconds left for China to make something happen here. Nano Blade coming up. Ico gets a kill on 5King right away. Looking for one onto Eileen. Maybe Ico has to back away. That pick on the Lucio, quite good. IPN with the Transcendence. Eileen goes down, courtesy of Onigod once more. That Zenyatta ultimate, keeping Norway safe. Primal Rage comes out for Yao Yao, but they're going to need more than the Angry Monkey to take this one, I think. He does get the kill onto Trob, but Norway with the edge right now. OT ticking away. And Eileen back in there again. No, that was 5King. He will go down. And as overtime ticks away, Norway will hold on point A. So if they can just get that percentage far enough, they have a really good shot of winning Lunar Colony.
Absolutely they do. Have to go up above 83.2%.
Right.
If they are going to actually take this map. But China foiled there in the end. And one of the strengths we've seen from Norway after taking a look at that first map is that when they're about to lose one of these control points, we saw it on King's Row when they played against Hong Kong, they're actually very good at stalling points. And you wouldn't think they would try to go back in, but Decod in particular has made some of the big plays on the Winston, and they're patient enough to know their limits. That time they let it nearly complete, but managed to get all 6 members back on.
Well, every one of these guys seems very able to make those clutch plays when they need to in those kind of last-second situations. So now Norway on the attack. You can see the little yellow arrow on the control meter, and that's where Norway needs to get to win this map. China, meanwhile, looks like they're going to pull out the Reaper defense once again.
Hopefully it won't be as awkward as it was last time. But you know what?
It was odd, yeah.
You know what I would really like, Doa?
What's that?
Onigod to play that Widowmaker. Because if they're going to try the point defense, and it's all about the mind games right now. So China probably is not, well, I say that, but they're all stacked up on the forward high ground right now.
Okay. I don't think they're expecting Norway to pull out this Widowmaker.
I think it would be more effective if they were pushed further backwards, but they're actually not going to do that. Okay, quick check with the Sonic Arrow right now before swapping off.
Probably, yep. There's Winston's switch from Decod.
But it will be the Widowmaker once again. So where are the picks here? They're not going to really be in line of sight.
Oh, that was a close reflect there. Oh, man. Gotta dodge your own bullets if you're Onigod right now. That's tough. Looking for the air shot.
Winston Bubble.
A little bit of damage. Yeah, Winston Bubble able to mitigate most of that there. Meanwhile, Eileen does go down courtesy of IPN.
I would not have
bloodthirsty Zenyatta out there.
I would not have dove into the Reaper if I was Norway right there. In fact, I would have just done what they did before, which is have Envision backcap the point and then force them back to give Widowmaker the opportunity to actually get some of those shots.
Well, that's the thing. We saw them just bypass the defense of China last time, and with that Widowmaker, they're feeling tempted to approach it a little bit more cautiously.
There you go. That's the angle you want.
Yeah.
As you force them onto the point.
A lot of damage onto Shy, but not enough. Meanwhile, Undead taking some.
Oh, that's a lot of missed shots there. Could have been cleaner.
Yeah. Not the greatest Widowmaker shots we've seen from Onigod just yet. Nearly has that ultimate, but you know, they kind of know where China is, so it's not going to be maybe the most useful thing.
Now, they just have to keep threatening the point right now. That has to be the central goal. Unfortunately, Shy already with that nano boost, so a lot of damage been healed up on the side of China, giving some good ultimates over. Norway not really having that opportunity.
You know,
Onigod is very actually close to the point right now.
The Pulse Bomb not working out for Envision as well. Eileen trying to get that Dragon Blade. He's got it now. He's got the Nano Boost, but there's a Transcendence. Doesn't help Tron as he goes out for the dash. There's a kill on the Ico as well. And Eileen coming up big on the defense. If I'm Norway, I think I'm going to swap Onigod off of that Widowmaker and just go for the dive. You've only got 25 seconds. You need to make something happen.
You absolutely need to make something happen. But if you're Norway, you know you still have another attack. You know there's no Nano Boost. You know there's no Dragon Blade. And you know that there's no Sound Barrier.
Yeah.
So switch over to a Soldier or a Reaper. In this case, it'll be a Soldier. And then just go for it. Trob, make sure he gets that Sound Barrier and use Ico there. Of course, with that Dragon Blade to clean up the point.
Here's where you got to be the sneaky Reaper if you're undead. Here's where you're looking for that big Death Blossom. Eileen does fall early, but Norway has to really watch out for that Reaper ultimate.
Oh,
and
no!
that is why! That is exactly why! Undead has the Death Blossom. You gotta watch out for the sneaky Reaper. The Sound Barrier was late for Norway, and they are not going to win this one. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, China is gonna be able to hold here on point A. And that's a rough one, man. I mean, you think about every factor and then you forget the Reaper.
I mean, China has been very good at playing with the Reaper on Horizon.
Yep.
You have to give them credit. I'm not sure if I would call that a sneaky Reaper, considering it was just like yelling, die, 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 and spinning around in the middle of the point.
The sneakiness comes before the pressing of Q, Monte Cristo.
There wasn't, they knew they had to get onto the point, and all the D.Va did was right-click over the head of the Reaper to protect the damage.
Exactly,
but, you know, there's another opportunity there, honestly, for Onigod to switch to D.Va and at least shut down the Death Blossom.
Sure.
So, you know, maybe that was not the right switch over to the Soldier.
So it is a 3-map advantage now for China. Lunar Colony certainly close. Norway giving them a run for their money, but in the end, China still gets that win, and now Norway really looking at the possibility of a 4-0.
Yeah, absolutely. At least they're going to get the chance to pick this last map.
Yep.
I don't think they're going to pick Route 66, but at the same time, it is a tough call because China did full hold Romania on Dorado yesterday. And honestly, even though Norway did get 3 points on Route 66, it was a bit dicey towards the end. Yeah. In particular on their defense, and then once the time bank started, they lost on that first point. So might be a little bit rough.
Well, it's tough. I mean, yeah. Route 66, we'll see if it's a choice. It's looking like it might be. And that, of course, is the map that Norway lost against Hong Kong. So if they can do that, they'd be 1-1 on the map for the tournament. But it's an uphill battle either way. China's shown, again, that yesterday was not a fluke. This team is really, really good.
Yeah, they are good, although they did have a few more cracks in their armor in this particular map compared to others. And just because I don't really understand a lot of their thought processes with some of those defenses. Second time around, it worked a lot better, but there was definitely some awkward positioning and compositions from both sides in that last match.
Yeah.
So a little bit, perhaps a little bit more vulnerable, but still pulling through.
True enough. Well, see what Norway's got for that. I mean, the one thing I've liked from Norway is that we've seen a lot of flexibility from these guys today, and we've seen a lot of willingness to change those compositions on the fly if they need to. And while that hasn't always worked out, you know, it is kind of cool to see. It looks like it will indeed be Route 66 for our final game here in our first match on day 2 of the Overwatch World Cup.
And we did see them sort of get wrecked by Sombra on this map yesterday.
A bit.
Especially in that warehouse phase on the final points when they tried to switch over to a Reinhardt Zarya composition, and the hacks really brought them down quite a bit. So.
I mean, speaking of Sombra too, we know what a good Sombra Eileen is. I was going to say what a good Eileen Sombra is, but who knows which way it works now, man. They seem synonymous, but he played so well on Hollywood, and expect to see a bit more of that here on Route 66.
I think you're in a tough spot because you saw yesterday how impressive China was in their aggressive dive defense on Dorado, and you get worried about that, so you say, okay, well, at least we know we can make it through all 3 points on Route 66. Maybe we can do a little bit better holding in that final point this game. But like you say, this is a very good map for Sombra, especially on defense, and that makes it a bit tricky.
Sure does. Well, nobody finished that game of pool, I guess. Oh well, they totally finished whatever was in that glass.
Looks like a beer, Doa.
It could have been root beer. No, it's beer. It's beer.
There's like full bars in this game. I think the implication is pretty clear.
Dude, you know why? I go with Lee's Spark Clubs or Spark Plug. I'm not good at advertising for Lee. So I've been this just in. I've just received a note. I've been fired by Lee's Spark Plugs. I'm not going to be advertising for them anymore.
I always knew you couldn't plug the plugs.
I cannot plug the plugs. I'm bad at the plug plugs. I'll practice. I'm sorry, Mr. Lee. Well, here we go. Norway on the attack once more. In the red, China in the blue on defense, and Eileen on that Sombra once more. A crowd going wild and certainly quite pleased with the performance of their hometown heroes.
I mean, the question now is whether China is going to be dropping a game in this group stage here in our first leg of the Overwatch World Cup.
If they can 4-0 Norway, unlikely, depending on how things go against their opponents tomorrow.
Let's see here. Envision trying to get around back to the top flank right now. DGOD actually does pick off 5King, but has an Orb of Discord on him, so will fall to Shy in the end. So 1-for-1 the trades, but the card getting a little bit closer, contested at the moment. They do force Undead off the high ground and over to the health pack.
Eileen already has that EMP built up. I mean, when your whole team is healing off those big health packs, you're going to get it so fast.
This is why she's so good here. Like, there's so many reasons why you like Sombra on point A of the defense here. You have those two big health packs right next to each other.
Yeah.
You have an ability to get onto high ground from multiple angles without necessarily using your translocator to do a drop-down EMP.
Oh, here we go.
And they're going to come in from behind for that EMP. There it is.
Looking for the kill on the IPN. He finds it. That's what you do, man. You EMP and you kill the Zenyatta. It breaks my heart as a Zen main, but you can't deny it's pretty effective.
Well, as an Omnic hater, Doa, I love seeing it.
You dirty Omnic hater.
That's me.
Well, I hope you're happy.
I am very happy after seeing that.
Norway on the attack once more. They've got a couple ultimates to work with. They're nearly up to that Transcendence from IPN. So they've got some utility with this next push. If Only God can get a good angle along with Envision, maybe they can make something happen. Envision looking to come from behind with that Pulse Bomb. What can he find with it? If he can get Shy, that would be big. Ooh, has to watch out though. That is a duel that Tracer has been having a tough time with this weekend. And China gonna go ahead and rock Norway's world once more, it seems like.
Yeah, Undead too, just firing into the back lines, trying to get a little bit more of that ult charge up after he did drop that tack visor. OniGod also used his ultimate, but really to no avail. Norway at least is sitting on a big support ult advantage though. So you have to think that this is their probably best window to push through point A with only a minute and a half left. Wait for Ico. Traub and IPN cannot layer their support ultimates again if they want to have an extended push, because they still have quite a ways to go for this payload to hit those big steel doors.
It's really unfortunate that OniGod used the tack visor in that last fight too, because if they were able to make this a full 6-up push, they might just be able to roll over things, but it depends on how the EMP goes. Oh, that hurts. A hack onto Envision, and that makes a Tracer an easy target. China winning this fight handily yet again, and Norway, what do? You just got to regroup, and Ico, unfortunately, is going to get very badly split spawned, as they are not going to let him get back to his team or die for quite a while.
Try to body block the D.Va as much as you can. There you go, and you know, with that, Doa, we're looking at about another 10 seconds before Norway can even feasibly get onto the cart now as Ico respawns, and that window of time has grown really tight for them, and also it has allowed 5King to get up his sound barrier in return. So
Indeed.
Norway in a very rough position right now.
Oh, there they are. Thank you, Tracer. I would not have noticed if not for you. Sound barrier for China already as they come in. Eileen can't quite get the hack onto Winston, but she may not need it. Has a good EMP if she gets in there. There it is. Finds the kill on the IPN again right away. Saw that one coming a mile away. And China looking like they may have what it takes in this fight. OniGod did take out Eileen, maybe with the sound barrier. They've got enough. But as soon as the defensive ults end, Undead unleashes the tack visor. And even with the D.Va there, it's not enough for Norway. They back off for a moment. They can come back in now, but Envision so low. There's the kill for Undead. Kind of hard to get him off the high ground. Onigon looking for kills with his own tac visor, but he is forced back by Winston. That's going to be a problem for Norway. We're into OT already, and self-destruct, just keeping them away from the point for just that much longer. Trying to get back onto it, but no. Undead charging forward, and that is going to be a full hold for China. Doesn't get much more definitive than that, does it?
Yeah, it does not. Eileen
Ouch.
just doing so much work on the Sombra, and that's what a good team in Overwatch will do. They know which ultimates you have available. They're making the right shot calls, and they basically just forced Norway into a position where they were never able to use their support ultimates effectively because of Eileen's positioning, repeatedly using the EMP to pick off the Zenyatta in the back line.
Yeah.
And Norway just had to be a little bit more aggressive, honestly. Like, sometimes you don't want to pop that trance early. Like, it doesn't feel great to just sort of run up to the cart with the Transcendence, but the other option is, as you're walking up to the cart without using the Transcendence, you just get EMP'd and die.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, yeah, we've all seen the clips on Reddit where, like, the Zenyatta hears the Sombra come out of stealth and hits the Transcendence just in time, but that is really hard to do, even at the top level. And I believe we even did see IPN do that exact thing yesterday, but it can't hit those every time, and it is a tough situation for Norway as they have to defend really far up. China doesn't really need to push that payload much of anywhere, just in front of Big Earls, and that's going to be the 4-0 for them.
Yeah, also, when we saw Norway in basically the same position yesterday, because both teams did complete the map with about the same amount of time bank left over, which is essentially the identical position we are in right now when it comes to finishing out this game. Of course, with a little bit, about two and a half minutes more time for China. But in this case, Norway did fail at defending here on the first point when they were up against Hong Kong, which is I would say, worse team than China from what we've seen after one complete day of map play.
I'd agree. Looks like Undead's going to check the train car with the Sonic Arrow at the beginning, just to make sure there's no really up-close shenanigans from Norway.
Well, you do expect that, right? They have to be so aggressive on this defense now. There aren't any more choices to be made, and you're going to have to see. IPN's going to have a hell of a game. He has switched over to the Ana instead, and Undead will be playing a McCree in a triple DPS look here for China.
Cool, all right. Well, I mean, this is obviously something that could be good at handling and vision on the Tracer. Can also get some good long-range shots on whoever's camping out on top of Big Earls. So it's just sort of putting that pressure on, and China just sort of wants to grind their way forward with this poke, it looks like.
I do think this is a bit of showboating.
He is showboating for sure, too. But
you could play the soldier here, and I think you'd probably be in a little bit better situation. But I suppose the other advantage to this, Doa, is that when you have such a short amount of time for the cart to move, as we start to see Norway fall apart, the actual ultimate zones for so long that it allows you to push the cart very effectively. So maybe that's the logic.
Yeah, and this is not going great for Norway so far. Aiko popped out of the Diva suit. Undead has been basically untouched, and the payload continues to roll. There's a pulse bomb, not really finding anything. Looking for that kill into Traub, not going to have to wait too long. Nice flashbang over the top of the cart. I think he got 2 people with that, actually. Teammates following up on it. And the payload moving ever forward. There's going to be the Transcendence from China just to keep that push going, and with Deadeye charging up very quickly now. They don't even need to worry about it. That's it. And China will take the 4-0.
I think there is something to be said for using that McCree when you have such a small amount of space to go, because you buy so much time with the Deadeye if you're positioned and you're well protected for it that you can't really defend the cart. Not that it mattered at all in that circumstance, but trying to think about the possible logic behind the pick.
Well, part of it too is that the way that Deadeye charges now, it's so quick, so it's not even about zoning. It's about just simply catching people at certain points, and that's what you can do.
Well, China doesn't matter if they play McCree or not, really, at the end of the day, but fun to see him for like 30 seconds. Yep. And that's it. Very convincing. Really, Horizon was the only map in which China had any trouble at all handling Norway.
I would say so. And, you know, Norway obviously looking very strong in their match yesterday against Hong Kong, but now the pressure is really on these guys to perform very well against Romania. They kind of need the 4-0.
Yeah, you know, they have one win. They are 1-1 right now. Their fate is definitely in their own hands at this point in time.
Absolutely, yeah.
And considering what we've seen from Romania already, I think you do have to be confident in Norway probably taking second place in this group. But China, scary, very scary for sure, and looking like a team that we are probably going to see at BlizzCon.
Yeah, I think that's almost a sure thing unless we have a big upset tomorrow.
Yeah.
Big upset tomorrow.
Well, you know, with 2 wins, they basically 2 4-0 wins. They basically punched their ticket to the playoffs already, at least here in this group stage, and most likely, of course, that #1 seed.
I mean, I guess I can see a bizarro world where France, aka Rogue, takes second in their group, and then maybe they can get the win on China and keep them from going to BlizzCon. But that's really the only scenario I can think of, and that is a stretch. So. That's our first match for the day here at the Overwatch World Cup. Guys, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, more Overwatch action.